Welcome, YouTubers. I am Angela Logan, and this is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me, and greetings from the High 10. It is Saturday, November 9th, 2019. Hello, hello. I would like to give you all an update on the Aniah Blanchard case. As most of you know, a male suspect has been apprehended in the state of Florida. This man has waived extradition, and he wants to come back to the state of Alabama to face the charges on kidnapping. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information. He appeared in court yesterday in Florida, where he told the judge that he wants to go back to Alabama, and he also asked for a phone call. They do not know who he spoke with during that phone call, and he also declined a lawyer. And so I would like to give you a give you a personal background, a criminal history on Mr. Ibraheem Yazeed, who is 30 years of age and an African-American male. Okay, know this before I get started, that he has not been linked to Miss Aniah Blanchard. It has appeared that he or she they do not know one another. I want to make that clear. I'm also giving you information from WSFA 12 News as a source of the information and the previous charges against Mr. Yazeed. It reads as follows. Mr. Yazeed is from Montgomery, Alabama. Most of his arrests are in Alabama, and he was found on the Alabama and Florida state line off a highway, and that's where he was found by local and government authorities who searched for him rather, and they found him down in Florida, in Escambia County, Florida. His arrest record started at 2011. I will read as follows. He was arrested in 2011 for 2 counts of first-degree robbery. He and 3 others robbed 2 men at gunpoint. They stole $2,700 in cash, 2 wallets, a $50 money order, a cell phone at the Good Night Inn on West South Boulevard. That charge was dismissed by the grand jury. Then in January 2012, he rammed a vehicle into the Montgomery police, where he was charged with attempted murder of 2 officers as they got out of the vehicle at the Chevron gas station on East South Boulevard. Those charges were also dismissed by the grand jury. Then in September 2013, he was charged with the possession of a pistol without a permit, first-degree marijuana, and he was found hanging over the entrance gate at the Blunt Mansion on Taylor Road. I'm sure some of you who live in that area, you are familiar with this place. Why he was there, I do not know. The cops smelled the scent of marijuana, searched the vehicle, and found substances in a bag underneath the driver's seat with a pistol. 2 weeks later, a cop stopped him during a traffic stop where he jumped a grassy median and tried to jump into a parking lot. And as he's attempting to try to jump into the parking lot next to the median, this clown decides he wants to jump out of a moving vehicle. He then takes off on foot and flees into a wooded area. He is apprehended a short while later. 3 grams of cocaine were discovered in that area where he had took off running. Okay. During that search, the cops went into the vehicle that he was in and found 6 grams of marijuana and rolling papers. He was charged with eluding, possession of paraphernalia, possession of crack cocaine, second-degree possession of marijuana, and he was sentenced but no prison time on those felonies. Okay, excuse me. Now, mind you, sorry about that. I have so much on him that I had a lot of notes to take. Now, mind you, the next charge comes in, he was indicted on those charges in September 2013, where he pled guilty in 2015. In January of 2016, Former Circuit Court Judge William Shashi sentenced him to 30 days in the county jail on the misdemeanor pistol permit charge. He received 13 months on the felony drug charge, and then that drug charge was suspended, and he was ordered 6 months probation. 3 days after sentencing, he was charged with trafficking spice, and that charge also was dismissed by the grand jury. He then left Alabama and was arrested in Cass County. The sheriff deputies arrested him in Missouri on a warrant from Johnson County, Kansas in July of 2017. That charge was aggravated battery of a law enforcement, aggravated assault, fleeing law enforcement officials, first-degree possession of marijuana, and online records do not detail the events that led up to those charges. He remained in the Johnson County jail until February 2018, where he was found guilty of fleeing law enforcement, possession of marijuana, and he was found not guilty of aggravated assault and battery on, pertaining to the officers. During March of 2018, a judge sentenced him to 16 months in jail. He was released from the county, Johnson County, 6 days later, earning him credit for approximately sitting in jail for 8 months, where he was waiting for a resolution of those said cases. Okay. He returns to Montgomery, Alabama, where he enters the Sure Stay Hotel on Eastern Boulevard, and with a handgun in January of this year, 2019, he held 2 men against their will with a Nikki Terrell Gaines and a Jessie Dale Ford, a white Caucasian female, was on this robbery stint with he and another gentleman, Nikki Terrell Gaines. They beat the elderly man, who was 77 years of age, beat him severely near death. It was that bad, they said. And they also beat the other gentleman too, who was with the elderly gentleman. They stole a Rolex watch, rifles, guns, a rifle, handguns, credit and debit cards, clothing and cash from the 2 victims. Yazeed and Ford, the white female, were captured driving down the highway erratically. And when they were pulled over by authorities, the elderly gentleman was inside of the vehicle, beaten, robbed, abducted, and near death. They suspect that he had been abducted from his vehicle, I'm assuming at that Sure Stay Hotel in Montgomery, and this information comes from the State Bureau of Investigations. On that kidnapping charge of the elderly man and his acquaintance, he stood account for 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping, 2 first-degree robbery, attempted murder, and first-degree possession of marijuana. He was freed on a combined bond of $295,000 set by a magistrate when warrants were initially signed the day after his arrest in February. Now, as most of you know, he was a court, I'm assuming in Alabama, revoked his bond in both cases, and he is still awaiting a grand jury consideration for the said charges of robbery and attempted murder. Now, mind you, as I said, Mr. Ibraheem Yazeed 30 and this white lady, Jessie Ford, stood charged currently on the attempted murder of the elderly gentleman and friend. And that took place at a Sure Stay Hotel, which is, I guess, a chain of Best Western. And it was at the 1280 Eastern Boulevard. They do suspect, authorities are saying they suspect others were involved. I don't know if that was the Mr. Gaines that was apprehended, but in that original article, it said others were involved and suspected. I never found any more information of any other suspects that were involved in that robbery at the hotel. That original bond was $280,000. I didn't get any information that a Miss Jessie Ford bonded out, but those 2 were arrested with Mr. Yazeed, Mr. Gaines and Miss Ford, and I don't know if they are still currently incarcerated or not. But the articles didn't give any information or update if they were let out on bond or if they are still incarcerated on the charge. Because as I said, he is still being considered by the grand jury on that attempted murder and robbery charge that transpired in January of this year. And those other two were also charged. So I don't know the status of if they are still incarcerated or their whereabouts. So if they are not free, that means they're still in jail waiting trial. So as you see, he has a lengthy record, Mr. Yazeed. And he has cases stemming in Alabama and being apprehended in Missouri on a charge of crime in Kansas. I blame the judge for letting him go because it's obvious he has been let go, not done all of his time on said charges, not the grand jury not arresting him on 2 charges. Well, indicting him, on 2 charges. As you see in the article, I told you it's the crimes that he committed. It went before the grand jury 2 times, 2 separate cases, and they dismissed it. And then he got out west on time served for 8 months while he was waiting other crimes. And they let him go to only come back to Alabama and rob that elderly man and his friend at the hotel. And now, while he's out awaiting trial for the attempted murder and robbery charge of the men at the hotel, he then has crossed the path of Miss Aniah Blanchard at that convenience store, the gas station. So what I'm curious to know is, and I can give an opinion now because we have information, the eyewitness who said he forced her into the car. Did you not see other people involved? Because the police are suspecting that others are involved. And from his previous history, he does like to involve other people in his crimes. And they are suspecting that others are involved in this disappearance, abduction of Miss Aniah Blanchard. So who are they and where are they? The store surveillance of Miss Blanchard in the store purchasing her items is in Auburn, Alabama. Mr. Yazeed is from Montgomery. What was he doing in Auburn, Alabama? What was he doing at that store? Did he have a car? Did he not have a car? Did he force her into her car? These are questions I'm very curious about because in the first article relating to this story, they said a gentleman took off in a Lincoln Town car. So one would have to wonder, how could he drive 2 cars? So this is where I guess the speculation from the authorities, not Angela, that others are involved. Maybe they lied and waiting for a victim. And then once they saw where he was going, he followed through, put her in her car. Then the second people followed him to wherever he took Miss Blanchard. We do know her vehicle, her CRV, 2017 black CRV, was found in Montgomery, parked at an apartment complex. People who commit crimes tend to do things near where they live. Then it was said that that place was a dumping ground for stolen cars. Interesting. Where is Miss Blanchard? Is she still alive? We can only hope that she is. But I will tell you that blood evidence was found in her vehicle in the passenger seat, and that leads one to believe that the suspect was driving her car. And he harmed her in that car. And so we know it is 2 weeks later, and she was not deemed, or any female was found at an area hospital with life-threatening injuries, unknown. So 2 weeks later, how could she have survived if she was harmed in that car? Because naturally evidence was sent off to the forensics lab, and it has been linked back to Miss Blanchard as the person the blood is belonging to. And so you would have to speculate that she did not get aid, because they haven't released anyone being a female going to a hospital with injuries, or identified person being in a hospital needing help. So you would assume the worst. I'm upset because this fool has been in and out of the system, and he was out on a very high bond, a combined bond of almost $300,000. Where did he get the money to sign out? Who signed the bond to get him out? And then when you think about that, it's like, well, if he has enough money or somebody has enough money to get him out of jail, then he should have had enough money to do right and be out here doing something with himself to not have to be robbing people to get a bond and get and have money himself or others to sign for a bond. Very sad and tragic. And it seems for a man at 30 years of age, he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't want anything. He wants what you have. You know, we're all flawed, yes. And I have met people who have done heinous crimes, such as what this man has been accused of, as far as, robbing people, whatever. And those people have changed their lives around. They're not out here breaking in people's houses, stores, or whatever. They go to work, they live. And that's the whole point of being redeemed. You can change your life. You can change your life. Many people have done it. But this man, 30 years of age, 29 in one article, does not care. And I know that when you continue to do heinous crimes, at some point, the crimes will get worse because you have now become full of yourself and you feel like you're untouchable and you will not want to go back to a court system, jail, and stand trial for a said crime, so you won't leave a witness. And I got a feeling that's what happened in this case. He knew he was standing trial for attempted murder and robbery in the case of this year in January of the elderly man and his friend. So he knew, I can't have somebody say I did this to them again. And I don't mean to be facetious in any way, but it's just common sense. This is what these people do. When they commit crime after crime after crime, they realize that they're not going to change, but they also are not going to let somebody testify against them. I feel very, very bad for her family. I feel bad for the community, Auburn, because these people were walking around. And like I said, I don't know why he was in the Auburn area, but I don't know if he stayed there or with friends or whatever. That has not been released. But the sad part is that he's from Montgomery, and he committed that crime with the elderly man and his friend in Montgomery. So one has to ask herself, if the eyewitness says he saw Mr. Yazeed put her in the car at that Auburn location, now you have to wonder, what the hell was he doing in Auburn, Alabama? Did he drive there just to find a victim, someone to rob, he and others? Because as I said, they never stated in the article that the witness saw more than one person with Mr. Yazeed and Miss Blanchard. The eyewitness is saying they saw him force her into her car or a car. So now you start to wonder, where are the other people? Were there other people? Did he have a car lying in wait as he approached Miss Blanchard at this gas station? How long was it before the witness came forward with the information? I wondered about that. I also know in these type of cases, the police will not give you everything because, as you see, we got piece by piece, week for week. Okay, first we just got video surveillance of just her in the store. Then the next week they showed this guy as a person of interest. Then the next information is they're hunting this guy and looking for him. Then shortly after they release that, he is found in Florida, close to the Alabama state line. And now they're speculating that others are involved. They're also saying that she and he do not know each other. Let me make that clear. That has been said by the authorities. The two do not know each other, Miss Blanchard and the suspect, Mr. Yazeed. But others may be involved. And as we see in his previous history, crime history, he does like using other people to exact crimes against civilians. So he's a cruel person. Let me say this and I'm going to check out of here. You all need to be very careful of your surroundings, ladies and men. You need to be careful when you're traveling. You need to be careful what you're saying around people, talking, all of that. Telling people why you're there in town, what you're doing, how long you're going to be there, what you're driving, how you're living, whatever. Because people in the South tend to talk more than people that live in northern places and up, eastern places. It's a known fact. People in the South, we talk. We tell a lot. And sometimes that can be as they say, the death of us. And it's sad to say that, but we talk too much in the South. We tell all kinds of stuff we should not tell strangers. And I'm not saying this is pertaining to her, but I'm just saying in general that sometimes you could be somewhere in a restaurant or getting something to eat and you're telling people, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm visiting from, out of town and woo woo woo, and I'm gonna be here and I'm staying at and maybe the wrong person is listening. And as you see, these people, this guy, he stalks people. He lies in wait in places and he watches you and then he pounces, he and his buddies, and they rob you with a gun and beat you. And I'm just saying, be careful wherever you are. Dining out, shopping, going to get groceries, going to get gas. Always look around before exiting your car. Always look at all points in front of you, to the side of you, and behind you. Always look in your rear view. And experts have always said that you do not want to go with the suspect. You fight him or her right there, because 9 times out of 10, that once they get you inside of a vehicle, their vehicle, whatever, you will not be seen again. And I hate to say that, but that's just their statistics, because they've already risked being seen. You know what I'm saying? Trying to force you into a car, truck, or whatever. You have to use common sense. Everybody is not abducting people for the same reasons. Some people are found alive. Some people are not. And these people are sick out here, and you don't know their motive for why they would want to abduct a person. And so you have to just think to yourself that you don't want to be that person that they put into a car that day. And know that now you see that this could happen to anyone. And he chose this young lady that night. So be very leery of your surroundings. Be careful. Be careful what you say, what you talk about. Be careful of the people that you meet and coincide with. Because as you see, people get missing for various reasons. Mind yourself and mind your children as well. I will bring you an update on this story. And I'm praying for Miss Aniah Blanchard's safety. I'm praying that she is found alive. As I stated, a lot of evidence was found inside of her vehicle, which has been deemed life-threatening. So if anyone knows of her whereabouts or anything pertaining to her disappearance, her automobile, please notify Crime Stoppers or the Auburn, Alabama Police Department. I thank you all for listening and watching and sharing with me. Thanks for my new subscribers. I am very humbled, and I thank you all so, so very much. And I just want to say, please be very careful out here, because there are people who do not care about you, and they do not wish you well, and they are empty vessels, and they don't mind exacting harm against you. Okay? Stay safe. Have a safe weekend, and thanks a lot for listening. Bye-bye.